This daf Yerushalmi Shabbos in the article Oz V'Har edition. We're on daf Chav Gimel Aleph, the top line, the Kashya, the Bar Kapara, which in the Vilna is on Yud Ches Amud Aleph, the second to last line. The Kashya Bar Kapara. And Bar Kapara had told us that you're chayiv on Havara and on Chavala, even if it's Mekalkel, even if you're Mekalkel Havara, Mekalkel Chavala. So the Mara asks a question, and Gillian Ephraim says that this actually is a question of Taisvus in Shabbos Tav Kuv Amarav, the Maskil Mali, that if you hold Havara is the Kalkel, even the Kalkel is Chayiv, so then how can it teach us that, as the Gemara says, Havara L'chalik Yotza, that you're Chayiv each and every Malacha and Malacha. If it teaches us that every Malacha and Malacha, so then it teaches every Malacha, you should be Chayiv even in Mekalkel, right? Kash Bakabra, Havara Lamna Kom Malacha Shabbatorah. So kul and tzarech, all the rest of them l'tzarech. V'yisha lo l'tzarech. How can you learn out from there to other malachas? It's not comparable. So Amar Rabbi Yossi said in Yisbuk, Rabbi Yochanan, Havar Lam l'kol malachas b'Torah. Yeah, you're right. It only like Rabbi Yochanan works. Like Rabbi Yochanan, we said that the Havara also only chayiv if it's for mitzakin, if it fixes. So therefore, according to him, it works to teach us kol Torah kula. But it doesn't work according to Bar Kapara. According to Bar Kapara, Havara only teaches us about itself. It can't extrapolate from there. The rest of the malachos. So if that's the case, we have a problem. Later, Rabbi Lozer doesn't Rabbi Lozer not hold the word la'achas seems to be superfluous here. I might take it out. Yeah, later Rabbi Lozer chayv kol achas v'achas. It's not hold chayv each every malacha, but if he doesn't learn from Havara, where does he learn from? So it says as much. Ashkatani b'shem Rabbi Lozer. So we found a Bryson named Rabbi Lozer, which lays the parak actually, which evidently is going to come later. It's parak achas. The word achas should be here. Achas. We'll take out a word line before and change to achas. Achas achas l'chayiv al kulon. Achas heino l'chayiv kol achas v'achas. Okay, so it's that's the way it's supposed to read. Achas, again, it's in the frame. Achas l'chayiv akulan. Achas heino l'chayiv kol achas v'achas. So the word heino, we learn l'chalik. So in economy, according to him, we can learn from Havara that from the fact that los of our age, Yom HaShabbos is singled out in Torah that l'chayiv kol achas v'achas. We have learned from achas heino, which of course is a very famous brisa. Okay. Nichavara. So understand Havara. The Havara is your chayiv even if it's mekalkel. Chabura, but Chabura, av shelo l'tzorech. It's av, which is shchita. You only chayiv if it's l'tzorech. Chabura, which is talada, how can we chayiv in shelo l'tzorech even if it's mekalkel? How does it work? So Havara itself is all av. So if you say Havara is mekalkel, fine. But Chabura is a talada. How can it say on a derivative from shchita, which has to be litzorech, meaning not lekalkel, that its derivative of Chabura can be lekalkel? Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Bun, on my spaghetti was Rabbi Yochanan, some machlekes. Chad Amar, one says shchita ikar Chabura talada. One says shchita is the av, and Chabura is talada, in which case you would have it difficult, obviously. But the other says no, it's the other way around. That the av is Chabura and shchita is the talada. So evidently that doesn't bother Gemara as much. That if the shchita is a talada, so then I guess the av can be the talada can be more of a more extensive than the av. So even though the av you only chayiv, even though the av you chayiv dafka, even if it's mekalkel, the So what you're chayav even only if it's the misakein. The article brings down an opinion of the Ramban. It seems that no, according to Bakapora Enechanami, even shchita you're only going to be chayav. You're going to be chayav even if it's mekalkel. I guess maybe it was even shlo tzorech. Therefore, you also be chayav. Yeah, but it should be more than shlo tzorech. It should be even mekalkel's chayav. I'm not sure, but that's the article brings down that I'm sure shlo tzorech chayav. No, it must be tzorech even if it's mekalkel. It'd be chayav even if you kill something for no good reason. According to that opinion, according to Ramban. The Moshe is one who says that no, even though chabura you're chayav shlotzarch, the shchita would have to be letzarch. Once on the topic of havara, so the Gemara says hiver v'kiba b'nficha achas. You blew on the fire and you ignite it and extinguish it with one blow. Chayav shtayim. Chayav to for havara kibui. Amar b'tima achoy Rabbi Yossi Adamra nafach b'kelim b'shivron. This teaches us that if you blow on vessels and you break them, it's a ma'aseh. Mishalim nezek shalom. As Lina Shas points out, in the Bible he talks about a rooster which stuck its head into a keli and broke it, and that it's the chayav in this case mamoino. It was the same thing by niske gufo. If you stick your head in and if you blow on a keli and you break it, you're chayav nezek shalom. Somebody who rakes coals underneath a pot on Shabbos, and evidently because first, since under a pot, first first you're mechabe, and so so you're chayev, right? So evidently the initial assumption is chayev because mechabe. Shem Lezer Tzog said no chayev shtayim. You're chayev twice. It's two things. Achas shekibas al yoinos. First you're mechayev on the top ones which which you extinguish because you removed them. It's because you're mechayev mitachas agdeir, right? You remove them from underneath the pot. We should have stressed that before. And the on your chayev on the tachtoinos, which you left there because by moving the top ones, the second top one, the ones at the bottom are burning. And you did a mice in order to get them to burn better. Somebody who rakes coals and then heats himself up by them on Shabbos is potter because the kibui, when you rake them out, you're mechaber them, and that's a melchshein tzukul gufa, because you really want it to be hotter, and they're going to get colder. So therefore, you're potter. This is not a case in the Bible at all. Rabbi Yaakov Bracha b'machlekas. It's a machlekes. It's not so poshut. That's true if you only chayev one in the case of chayte mitachas akdera. Only chayev mechamish mechabe. So you only chayev mechamish mechabe. We're not looking at the coals which remain, and therefore it's also mechabe, and therefore it's only shein tzirchul gufa. But the according to people said chayev shtayim above the chayev. He should be chayav over here because of he was the ones which remain. He was mavir, and evidently those are going to heat him up. I assume that that's the shot. The ones who are going to remain are going to heat him up. So the ones who was removed are. So it's an interesting lumdish question. You remove coals. That's the mice he did. Did the mice kibui, but you were mavir the ones behind, you left behind as a result. Does the mice in the kibui, the mice in the coals you remove, which is the mice of kibui, also relate to the coals you remain behind, and therefore it's also all mice of avara? According to Manda, you chayev only one. No, it's only mice kibui, and therefore you're not going to be chayev because you only if you remove them in order to get hot because you did a kibui, not havara, and even the coals that you remain behind, you didn't do a mice in them, so you're going to be potter. According to the opinion with the Chayiv Shtayim, means even though you did a Maisa remove the top coals, since that means Mele ignite the bottom coals, it's what a Maisa Havara in the bottom coals. A fascinating lumdus. And then, of course, if your intent is to get heated up, so you're going to get heated up by the remaining coals, and therefore you're going to be Chayiv too. Okay, that's a fascinating thing. The Tukur Shlaim says the next part of the Gemara is really relevant later on to Zor Shimesh b'Shabbos. We're going to have machlekes later on. Machlekes Yerushalmi Shabbos, and the question of Ein Isser Chalal Isser. But in any event, the Marivav B'Shem B'Yochanan Leis Kan Chayiv Shtayim Ela Mali Love Kilu Chayiv Shtayim. So he says Mechusar Avana. My Shaiti Dahal Lahad Rabbi Amar Avad Amar Amar Yochanan Sure Carbon Kasa the Kavan the Rabbi Lazar Tzadok Mekalka Var Potter Ein Rak Lekover Ben Mishoyim Gemurim. I mean, it has to do with where you bury him. Whatever. Okay, how severe his deed is, right? So it's not chayiv time, it's zividich time. Okay, but maybe later on he says when it's on. So we get to perhaps it would be relevant over there. Okay, in any event, so what he's saying is that it's not chayiv time because it's only one ma'aser kibui, but you should. It's as if he did too. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, Tamon. In other words, by us, where he's heating up. He doesn't want them to go out. He doesn't want them to extinguish. He just wants to move them around so he can heat himself up. So everybody should be parter. In other words, he wants to put them in a way that they're going to provide optimum heat. But by the pot. There, he wants to not by the pot. Yerushalmi Shabbos says by the place where he blew on it. He wants both. So since he wants both, so therefore he is going to be chayiv shtayim. I'm thinking nafach really probably means with the bellows. He's a smith, a blacksmith. That's what a blacksmith wants. He wants the coals to ignite and then be extinguished. He wants them to be in order to be charcoal. So that's why it's chayiv shtayim. The guy who just wants to heat himself up, just wants the heat moved around in order to get him effectively. But here this guy wants specifically to produce charcoal, so therefore he's chayiv shtayim. Okay. Right? Tamat and Rotzi Shivaru and Rotzi Shchabu just wants him to move around to heat himself optimally. Rotzi Shivaru, Rotzi Shchabu could be a case of nafach. He did havara and you cooked. You ignited fire and you cooked. Istani Tani chayiv shtayim. Istani Tani chayiv achas. One says you chayiv 2, one says you chayiv 1. Also, Manam chayiv shtayim. One holds that you're chayiv shtayim. Achas shumavir, achas shumavashel. You're chayiv because mavir because of vashel. Madamar achas. But what about the madamar achas? What does he mechayiv you now? The Korban says it's hivir behivshel bevas achas. Kagon shenofach v'iviro v'aydekin is bashel ktera. By he did neficha and he did abara and and this is the way the pot got cooked. So the Shuvas was hard tzvi. It says why does the Korban not learn kipshuto? They light a fluid fire and then he put a pot with a topshel on the fire. So then he says because obviously in that case it's two different activities and there's no svara to be chayiv on one or not the other. You're chayiv certainly chayiv two. The question when the two malachas are done in one activity, right? The vas achas, and then you could say, well, maybe only chayiv one. So you could chayiv on that because that's the ikar pu'ula. It's the primary activity you did, and you can chayiv on the bishul because that's the purpose of the pu'ula, and its intent is on the bishul. Or Samech and Shabbos says something similar. The Taisus Harid, the Ridbaz and the Taisus Harid says that it's talking about a case of mechame mateches. That because mechame mateches, when you heat up metal, that's bas achas. In one case, you're being mavir and mechame. Says you heat the midla malika avar bu'ur. Or b'samani malik bar. Having mavir and vashu kachas. In any event. So mandamar achas, the opinion holds that one chiyuv heido he, but he chayvin. So Rabbi Yehuda mem shum mavir, like we said before, that's the primary pool. Rabbi Yossi mem shum mavasho, because that's your intent. The kasha Rabbi Yossi, so it's difficult on Rabbi Yossi. So the two of you trying to change the gears on the a little bit. So he says the kasha Rabbi Yossi havara Havara limda mikol malacha shebetorah Torah, and it means that havara is yatsa l'chalik and tells you chayv on mavir afilu mekalkel, right? So the havara limda mikol malacha shebetorah eino chayv mishum mavir ela mishum mevashel. So how can we chayv on how can we chayv only how can we chayv on mevashel if Mavir is the one which is the primary arch malacha in the Torah? Okay, the Gemara leaves that question unresolved and goes on to the next issue. Like I mentioned before, Zar Shishimish B'Mikdash B'Shabbos. So Zar was Mishamish B'Beis Hamikdash on Shabbos. So we did two things wrong. It's not supposed to be Mishamish B'Beis Hamikdash. Not supposed to on Shabbos. Ubamum Shishimish B'Tuma. Did two things wrong. It's not to be Mishamish B'Amum. It's also not to be Mishamish B'Tuma. Rabbi Chia Ruba Amar Shtayim. Chia Ruba said he's Chayiv two. Bakapora Amar Achas. Where Kapora says he's only Chayiv one. He holds that the Moshe says Kasavar Shehutra Avoida b'Shabbos l'cholutra. Shabbos was mutter for everybody. Vein b'chaluka, so therefore there's only Chayav on Zor. Vein b'chaluka rishona el mishum zoros. V'chein kshutra tuma v'karmat tzibur. So we talk about it's talking about when it's tuma hitru b'tzibur and the ba'amum is a shamish. The tuma when it's tuma hitru b'tzibur cholutra. Everybody. So if it's only Chayav Mishum Ba'amum. So Zor Shim Shabbos. Shabbos avoid is mutter, therefore he's only Chayav. Assuming he's only avoid, it's not doing a carbon. Yach is doing a carbon tzibur. If it's only Chayav on Zor and the Ba'amum Shishim Tuma, also same principle. Tuma Shabbat Tzibur is only Chayav one on Ba'amum. Now that. But here the Tu B'Shaim brings down the line we had above of the Marevo Shem Yochon Leis Kan Chayiv Shtayim Elamai Lov Kilu Chayiv Shtayim. He says, okay, not Chayiv Shtayim really, but it's if you're Chayiv Shtayim because you did two Yisurim. Okay, so the Gemara asks the Meis Bakapara Rabbi Chia Ruba. Bakapara asks Chia Ruba. Avoda Shakoy Mutar Ba Zar Mechayiv Aleh. If a coin is mutar, because Shabbos is mutar, or too much of a tzibur, how can the Zar be chayiv? Umosivla, he asks a question, Messiahvla, and he answers the question as well. As it sounds like to be a simple meaning. Who Mosivla and Farikla. Moshe doesn't seem to say that, but okay, that's Kormeida says. Hare Kmitza. What Kmitza? Actually, Nikmatza Asura Zilazelaza. Mincha before Kmitza, it's also to everybody. Once it's Kmitza occurs, so the Shiraim is with the Kohanim and also the Zorim. Right? So to here, there's also a mutter for the Zorim. The Zorim still also. So to here, when Shiraim goes mutter in the Mikdash, goes mutter to the Kohanim. And it's not mutter to the Zorim. Right? So again, right? Kmitza, actually, Nikmatza Asura Zilazelaza. Nishim Nikmatza, it's still Asura Zorim, it's only with the Kohanim. So if you learn the Karmeda, he said this, but then Rabbi Chia Ruba is saying, well, not so fast. That's a nice, thank you for answering my question, but it's not necessarily comparable. If you learn like the Bnei Moshe, then it's like Umaysiv law. The Bar Kapora asked the question, Umasayiv law, and Rav Chisda Ruba answered the question, and then Bar Kapora asked them on it again. I'm like, Shani, L'chsiv Kol Zol Le'echol Kodesh. Perhaps it's different, Kmitza, because it says explicitly, there's an Isser on the Shirayim for Zorim. As opposed to Shabbos, there's no explicit Isser on Shabbos for Zorim. So therefore, maybe it's different. Okay, what about Malika? For Malika. Actually, Nimilka, Asrul, before Malika, it's also for Kohanim and for Zorim. Because Misha Nimilka, Asrul, Zorim, Muteris the Kohanim. Until Malika occurs, it still remains also Zorim, so Mutzah Kohanim. So Shabbos should be the same thing. It's only a Mutzah Kohanim, not the Zorim. Amalei, no, there's even also Shine to see called Zor Lo Yochal Kodesh. Those called Zor Lo Yochal Kodesh evidently also is going on Malika. Hare Tevel, fine. What about Tevel? Let's try another one. Tevel actually Nitkan also Zezeh. Tevel before it's fixed, before it's tight, so also Zezeh. Misha Nitkan and now it's Truma. Also Zor Mutzah Kohanim. So he said, no, it's still different. Shine, it's because it has the status of Kodesh. So anything which remains in the status of Kodesh, there's a special Isser on Zorim. I don't think it's different psukim for each one of them. It's each one is part of also part of Kol Zor L'Echol Kodesh. I know it's not different psukim. It means it's not it's a special isser on the eating, which applies to Zorim even after it's been permitted to Kohanim. That doesn't necessarily apply by Shabbos. Um, I mean, Neitzei L'chutz L'Yamad. So they said, you know what? Let's go outside let's go outside the Beis Medrash, and let's learn. In other words, let's find out from elsewhere. Let's consult our. Let's consult. Um, so Nafku Shaman, they went out and they heard. Maybe they were sitting in. Maybe it was going out to the Beis Medrash. Sounds good that they were sitting privately and they went into the Beis Medrash. In any event, they went somewhere. Nafku Misham went out and they heard Rabbi Yosemer Stein. So they heard that Rabbi Yossi said they're Chayiv Stein, Rabbi Yosemer Achas. Right? They heard that this machlekes they're arguing about so Shimon Rabbi Yossi. I guess they googled it and they found there was a machlekes. Achas, who says Achas? Mishum Zoros. Zoros Hashem Shabbos Chayiv Zoros. Mandam Ashtayim Achas Mishum Zoros. One of them is because of Zoros. Fine. Chonai say Lama. What would the other one be? In Mishum Shchita. Because Shchita can be Shchita. Shchita was Kshera. Shchita Zoros kosher. It's Doicha Shabbos. Zork would be Shoichet on Shabbos and Beis Hamikdash. It's Doicha Shabbos because that Avodah is kosher b'zor. El Mishum Hiluch Zvika b'Kabbalah and El Shvus. The Zvika of the blood, the Kabbalah of the blood, taking the blood to the Mizbeach. I should have said that was out of order. Taking the blood to the Mizbeach, not, but it is out of order here. Hiluch Zvika Kabbalah should be really Kabbalah, Hiluch, and Zvika. And El Shvus, it's only the Rabban. It's only at worst the Rabbanan. There's no Muktzah, whatever, but for Zor maybe, but it's no the Melach Daraisa there. Having lace time l'shum ichul evorim ubdorim. It must be because if you're chai, the second one is because you are putting the limbs and fats on shemis agam bezel kol halayla, that they're going to be consumed on the mizbech the entire night. Okay, so that is that's the chiyuv, and the chiyuv is the doing that avodah in the Beis Hamikdash on Shabbos. Going back to what I said earlier, right? Like hivir v'hivshil. Here, you're putting your when you put it on the mizbeach, so you're being mavir and mevashel b'vas hachas. So I'm not sure. At least according to that you have to say because that was the machlekes before. I'm not sure how it is. I'm not sure exactly how it's mevashel. Never mind. I was thinking same thing we had back there in the Pikomeda. Coach Nava Viru by Dekin is Bashal Kedera. So yeah. So here, but the thing is that that's partial. I mean, I'll scratch what I just said. So so fine, but the thing is, Palms don't be marshal. You want them to be consumed by the fire, equal, right? Not bishul. So where's the bishul? Why would you have mishum vashal here? So that's what it says. I'll try to review the mishum mavir nicha. Try to review the mishum vashal. Ma bishul yeshkam. What's the bishul here? So how can we mechayev two mishum mavir mishum vashal, right? So the how can we mechayev any how can we mechayev mishum vashal altogether, right? So became shirot to be kulan kivabashal, since he needs them to be consumed by the fire, because that's the mitzvah, right? The mitzvah is that they should be consumed. The Yerushalmi Shabbos brings down interestingly. He says that the reason why you need it is because Rabbi Yochanan Menachos Tav Chav Vav Beis says The bus nanita bachila ad shetati sa or berubo. So therefore, he wants that's considered to be like bishul. So you need the night because you need it to reach that stage. So therefore, that's like bishul. So the kemishu wrote to be kulan kimavusha kimvashalhu. Since he wants them to be consumed, that's it's a bashal. Now, the question is what's who? According to Yerushalmi Kipshuta, the who is going on. The people want to eat, but it could be it's going to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu wants the mitzvah to be done that they should be consumed in the fire. So that's like he wants interest in being consumed. So Mabasho is Chayav and Kanu Kata Mabasho. And that's it for today.